Hello and welcome to Rare Cuts Media Society, the podcast that looks at hidden media gems, where stabbing your father makes you the errand girl for two homeless people. With your host, as always, I'm Andrew Jagoda. With me, we've got Mike Ross. How are you today, Mike?
Hey, I haven't stabbed anyone, and I'm still running errands.
Eric Hathorn, how are you today, Eric?
Pretty good. And like your comment at the beginning, I don't think that was expected. I would say I had an unexpected viewing experience with this movie. I'll leave it at that. Talk more about it. It was unexpected. Yeah.
And of course, Rob Lachik. How are you today, Rob?
I'm doing well. I also have a 0 on the column for number of stabbings that I've done, so that's also a good thing. So,
well, now that you both said it and I didn't, now I feel like I have to state also, just for the record, that I also have not stabbed anyone.
One? You sure? Maybe 1 or 2?
Well, wait, maybe this one time. No, no, 0. I'm pretty sure it's 0.
It's called a shanking.
That's different, you see.
All right. Well, with that, we are continuing our holiday arc here, and it is Rob's turn, so I will turn it over to him.
All right. So, for my pick this time around, I've selected the 2003 film Tokyo Godfathers. The film is about a group of 3 homeless people in Tokyo who find an abandoned newborn on Christmas Eve in a trash heap, essentially, while looking for Christmas gifts. The discovery of the little child drives the plot for the film, as the 3 main characters, Hana, Miyuki, and Jin, look to find the newborn's parents. But as the story proceeds, the discovery of the newborn is kind of more of a linchpin that just opens up old wounds, feelings for the 3 protagonists, where they take on their past and work through what's next for them, as well as witnessing an attempted hit on a mob boss at a wedding, getting beaten up by some hoodlums, nearly getting killed by a runaway ambulance, and then rescuing the newborn falling from a high-rise. Merry Christmas, everybody. Not exactly the typical Christmas movie that you'd expect. But probably the biggest thing was different from a lot of the media, specifically visual media, that we haven't really dived into, is that this film is animated. It's in the style of anime or manga, or maybe incorporating some elements of manga. And it's a Japanese film. I don't know if it might be a first for Rare Cuts. I don't think we've done a Japanese. Have we even done a foreign language film yet? I don't think so.
Mike did
last year with
although
Phantom
that
Carriage.
That one was silent also.
It was silent film, so it's still a little different.
We had to read the whole film, I guess we should say.
May as well have been a book.
Well, it was the first Japanese media that we
For sure.
That. So it's actually part of the reason why I selected this film. It was kind of at the time, going back, like 2 months ago, right? Because gotta have to plan ahead for this stuff, right? And my wife works at the College of DuPage Library in the West Suburbs, and one of her colleagues was put together an exhibit and gave a talk on manga. This was maybe in October. I think it was early October. So it kind of got stuck in my head of like the history of manga and how it's very popular with kids. That was part of the reason why I was at the college. But that kind of got me thinking, I wonder if there is a good like anime manga type of Christmas movie. And that's kind of where I stumbled upon this. I really personally don't have a lot of like tie-in with like reading manga or watching other anime, but it was kind of in my head at the time. So that was part of the reason why I kind of looked at it as something a little different, trying to get those high scores at the end. This is something a little rare and different. So I can't say that I was a fan of anime or manga, but it was just kind of those scenarios that kind of made me pick this film. Do any of you watch anime occasionally or often, or have any interest in anime, manga? Mike, you'd be the person I think may have would be the one to have maybe some interest.
You're
in it.
profiling Mike as the manga.
I am profiling.
Yeah, definitely. No, I really enjoy anime, mangas too. I mean, I still remember as a kid, occasionally you would catch like some episodes on really early in the morning of like Dragon Ball Z. And then of course there's Pokemon, and I love Studio Ghibli with like My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke. Spirited Away was one of the films that really got me into anime though. Like it's just such a beautiful film. Yeah, and then like in terms of manga, me and the kids, we read different mangas and stuff together, and that's one of the things that helped Lachlan actually learn how to read on his own, is just because you have the visual, the picture on the page with the verbiage, and so that really helps him, and is the reason I believe that he's become such a prolific reader as a kid, and even but I mean, that's the thing that I think is amazing about anime is, especially like you picked this film. This is not a kid's film. People hear anime and manga, they're like, oh, that kid stuff. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't want to watch it. It's animated. It's like animations for children. That's where there's this huge divergence within our cultures between Japan and America, because Japan is like, anime is for all ages. Like, we have everything, and we might not have all the elaborate sets, but we got some great artists, and we can animate it. And so they developed a lot of things that are more for an adult audience. So I mean, I love anime, and I don't watch as much as I'd like, so I'll leave it at that.
Well, hopefully this means big scores for me at the end from Mr. Ross. That's all I got to say.
Rob's already counting his chickens before they hatch here. No.
Maybe not, but I hate it. But anyway. Probably the next person, just from your prolific reading, Eric, you'd be maybe the one person I could see also liking this. Not ruling out Andrew, but
I had my like in the sense that like I have in my library, not my personal, but like in my work library, I have some manga. I always say it manga. What do you say? How do you say it? Manga.
Yeah.
Manga. There you go. See, but you could already tell where I'm at with this. I got to keep a lot of it in my library. The kids check it out like crazy at school. So like I got to have it, but I don't necessarily get to read it that often because it is so, I don't want to keep it off the shelf to do that. Now, my kids have some, but it's more in their interests than mine. So I don't often like grab it, but like I know Ben's got the like the Zelda ones, a lot of those that he's been reading and things like that. So like I have dabbled as far as like in the Studio Ghibli stuff is the stuff that I'm familiar with, like Totoro, like you were saying, like the what's the castle, the house. Moving castle. Yeah. All those, there's all like the fun whimsy of that. Disney had some connections to that back in the day. Of course, I got to throw that out.
They were in charge of doing all the dubbings for the American versions.
Right. So like in that sense, I have like very tangentially related stuff, but like I haven't gotten into it myself, but like all around me, things are happening with it. And I'm on the outside, but looking at it from the side, if that makes sense.
I thought you were going to break out in a song for a second.
That Stained song? Is that Stained?
'Cause I'm on the outside.
Who's saying that one?
I'm looking in.
We might have to get the rights to this now. No.
He was short enough. I don't think we need that.
Short enough, yeah.
And then there's me.
Deeper register. Yeah.
Then Andrew. Let's see.
Are you trying to guess?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I will say maybe because of your kids.
I'm trying to look at the bookshelf behind him and determine if there are any on there.
The answer to that would be no. I'm not really a fan of anime. Uh, I appreciate the amount of work that goes into any animation. So from that, logistics side of things, I can appreciate it. But anime to me just doesn't strike a chord with me.
It's Krampus coming to get you.
It I'm used to animation and other media where it flows. And the thing with not all, but a lot of anime that I've seen is it'll be flowing, and then you've got a zoom in on somebody's crazy bug-eyed face, and they're like shouting, which happens numerous times in this film.
Well,
And
so does
to
Ren
me,
and
that
Stimpy.
doesn't
So does Ren
flow.
and Stimpy. So
Well, I never liked Ren and Stimpy
okay.
either.
You're not making a case for him over here. No.
So I mean, I it's not like, oh, I absolutely hate anime, because I do appreciate it. The amount of work that goes in, it's still Tokyo Godfathers. I thought was a beautiful movie, but when they have those anime style things where just all of a sudden somebody's like shouting, like Hannah finds out the truth about Jin's lies, and then it's just like looking like a demon.
Have you
Like
ever
that
watched Curb
that
Your
ruins.
Enthusiasm? It's basically the same premise.
Well, Larry David is a cartoon character, so I'm
Okay. So I have to ask then. Have you watched any of the like Studio Ghibli films?
some.
Okay.
I've watched Princess Mononoke before.
Okay.
Um, as a kid, I did like the Pokemon show, but again, it always when they would just suddenly be like, that always kind of got to me. That it would just go from 0 to 100. Um, kind of cuts the flow for me.
It is kind of the big, at least from my understanding, how it goes from like anime to being like kind of more traditional manga, like that big facial expression. That's kind of really the meat of manga, at least from my understanding of like the nature of how it's drawn, is that those big expressions. Um, so glad to hear that there's some familiarity with. No surprise with your young kids. I mean, I didn't realize up until a couple months ago how popular it was with kids. So I kind of figured there was going to be some level of familiarity, or even your kids having it, reading it. Mike, great to hear that. That's great entryway for kids to read, right? Especially like your son. So before we dive like into the actual film, because we've kind of bounced around it thus far, let's talk about the filmmaker, because I think this is kind of an interesting piece. I didn't really realize or discover any of this until after I watched the film and I liked it, and then I started like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So the filmmaker is Satoshi Kon, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing his name, but while he was someone I was unfamiliar with, he was and really kind of still remains an influential filmmaker. It's well documented in a recent documentary. I think it was 2021. That it was Satoshi Kon, the illusionist, about him, that Darren Aronofsky, the director, was interviewed and kind of admitted that he lifted some of the ideas and scenes from one of his films, Perfect Blue, and put it in his film, Requiem for a Dream, as well as Kahn's 2007 film, Paprika, and a lot of similarities to Christopher Nolan's blockbuster Inception from 2010. So and in that one, like the plot devices of going into one's dreams to influence them. There's actually a number of videos online that show the side by side of Paprika and Inception, and it's almost like crazy how did like Christopher Nolan really know that he was just stealing this stuff or lifting the even just the order of the things that happened, like in a hotel, and then it was like there was the one scene that's crazy in Inception where she touches like the screen and everything like shatters, and that was like verbatim from Paprika. But great videos to watch. Check them out. So sadly, Satoshi Kon passed away in 2010 after receiving a terminal diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. Within a few months, he was gone. It was actually kind of a surprise to his fan base and the filmmaking industry and his fans throughout, because he really didn't make any appearances after his diagnosis, and he just passed away so quickly. But sadly that he was gone, but still his influence is definitely felt. Did you guys know who Satoshi Kon was before watching this film? I personally did not. As I said, I kind of stumbled upon this, but I just found it so incredibly interesting of like his spread, even outside of anime, right? Obviously incredibly popular anime and manga, but his influence even in other Western style films, live action type of films. Very interested. Did any of you have any
I will say I can't say that I knew who he was, but I did know, like, you connected a dot for me, and that I did know that like Inception had borrowed from this like anime thing. Like I've seen those like side by side like YouTube short kind of things where I've been like, oh, that's interesting. But like me being kind of, like I said, on the outside of anime, never really like went the next step of like, well, who made that one? What movie is that? Like Paprika? Oh, that's cool. But like I have seen that. You know, and I possibly the, you know, similar. I'm sure if I got one short for the Inception one, I probably got another short for the Perfect Blue Requiem for a Dream one, because that's how the algorithm works. But anyways, you know what I mean, as far as like I've seen that thing happen, but I can't say I knew who or what it was, and you just kind of filled in the blank for me right now. So there you go.
I guess maybe it's a larger question to all of you. Maybe that gauges how well you enjoyed this film. Like that kind of stuff, does that really want you to watch? Like kind of drive you like, maybe I'll spend a couple hours on a Saturday night watching one of his films. It definitely gave me a lot more interest to like, all right, yeah, I might have to check this. I really like the movie Inception. So I'm like, maybe I'll watch Paprika. But it definitely gave me a lot of desire. Like let's look at his back catalog, and then in comparison to other films, that might be a good rare cut idea in the future. If there's other situations, maybe not exactly these films, but something else. But anyway, anybody else have any knowledge of Satoshi Kon? Mike, Andrew?
No, but to answer the other question, yeah, you know, I'd be interested in watching another one of his films, like maybe go and find what people would consider like the quintessential film that he created. So, but I don't think my wife really enjoys anime. So I have to wait for moments when like she's busy or doing something else to watch it. So, I mean, if I were in college, I probably would watch all of them.
Yeah.
You did have time.
I kind of, I mean, even though I'm not big on anime, I kind of knew that there was an anime that influenced Inception, like you were saying, Eric was saying. So I didn't know it was his. So I'll probably go and look into that a little bit. Because Inception's a great movie, but you could tell that he took ideas from all over the place somewhere.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Yeah.
All right.
Best
so
ideas are stolen ideas.
You just build on an already great idea.
Who said
and you
that?
make
Al
it better.
Capone?
Yeah. All right. So we kind of we really haven't even talked about the film yet. We've talked about manga, anime. We've talked about the filmmaker himself a little bit. So the film itself, it's funny when you like, maybe when you first start watching it, you're like, this is so different. It's a different type of media. Like it's a foreign film, right? The overall style, but in truth, as the film progresses, it's not unusual, right? It's a kind of your, I don't want to say not normal story, because there's a lot of weird, unique parts to the film. But it almost, while you're watching it, like you kind of forget that you're watching anime. At least in my experience, that's how I felt. There was like, oh, that's right. And then when something like one of those big, loud, expressive scenes would occur with one of the faces of a close up or something, or then it's like a reminder. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm watching manga. Yeah, exactly.
I would just get
But
close.
I think that was one thing that I took away, was like this film was unique in the sense that it kind of seemed to, like, you could argue it had all sorts of different styles. Like it was dark comedy, it was drama. I mean, adventure. I mean, like a caper, if you will. I mean, how many scenes where they were like racing after taxis or other people, or running away with a hitman taking one of the characters away, and like right, all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Kind of with that said, was there a part of this film that kind of like really grabbed you, like that you felt like this was the best part of the film? Was it some of the like intrigue, the caper? Was it the dark comedy? Was it like the drama part of it? I personally enjoyed the caper aspect of it. A lot of like running around Tokyo, finding like where the two buildings were, like from the vantage point to find the house, like that kind of stuff. I thought was very cool. Definitely showed them kind of like working together and those kind of things. But I really found that to be interesting. Was there any kind of particular part of the film that you guys enjoyed more than say one or the other, or maybe you didn't enjoy it? Also a good topic to discuss.
I think for me, the whole thing of Jin's lies falling apart, and the way that it played out with the daughter right there, I thought that was the most interesting, because you could do a lie falling apart so many different ways, and people have done them in so many different ways. But to have the daughter be there when that happens, to me, was pretty cool and unexpected.
And then the crazy response from Hana.
Yeah. Yeah, it played out a little different than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I enjoyed most about the film was just kind of how raw it was, really. Like a lot of the things that are depicted throughout, they might be like subplot or minor plot, but they're realistic, and it's not something that you see too often. Like for instance, when Jin is helping the old man out, the old homeless man out, and then ultimately a gang of younger people come and just beat the heck out of him just for being homeless. That stuff happens, and it's disturbing when it happens. But seeing it even in an anime, it was just as upsetting. But it's real. This stuff happens, and just like Hana's whole backstory and life, like that is tragedy. I mean, there's just so much going on, and so just like overall, just enjoyed all of the themes they were trying to incorporate into this and get it to flow together, and I thought it worked pretty well.
Yeah, I thought it did do a great job at being a lot of things. Also, like it was a lot of things, and it did it well. It was a lot of locations. You know, I love locations, but it was almost too like not just locations, but like vignettes. So like even though it was a cohesive story, like there were, because they're like on that journey, it's like an Odyssey style kind of journey, right? Like where they're going from, you know, one location to location, and it's like this one is a wedding, and this one is a hospital, and this one is, you know, one of these people's homes and a place from their past, and like all of the, like this subway train, or that, you know, the train, all these different things and places, and like there's like a little story that happens within each of them. And I thought the way it tied it all together was actually like pretty amazing, and it was pretty cool in that sense. Now this is one can I be the jerk and ask this question? The movie started on Christmas Eve,
Correct.
But how long does the whole movie stretch? Like a whole week? Because then there was like a New Year's lottery.
It was New Year's.
Mhm.
So like the whole thing went like a whole week. Because I at one point I was like, wait a minute, this is like 3 days later now that I think about it. And I was like, I never counted the days. Maybe I should start counting days. And then it was days later and I was like, wait a minute. I didn't count days. I was trying to figure out how long this thing. But like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
the lottery drawing was the New Year's Eve.
Is that on
drawing,
New Year's
assume?
Eve, New Year's Day, like in that general vicinity?
Yeah.
So it like takes it's a long time.
It's a week. It's a week.
Yeah, like a whole week. The journey is real and goes for a real long time as they're trying to find the family.
It's true.
So that's the thing that bothers me.
That's why I said, am I going to be the jerk who brings this up? Because now
No. I mean, we're in Tokyo, right? One of the largest cities on the planet, and just the way the characters keep finding each other and bumping into each other, and people that they're not even expecting to find just happen to be at a bridge at the same moment. Like it happens in a lot of movies in big cities. Like, I mean, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, the mom just finds him at a Christmas tree. I mean, and the sticky bandits just happen to bump into him. I mean, it's a huge city. And just like Tokyo Godfather, it's like, Jin gets beat up and he's taken in to the
Angel Club.
Yeah, the Angel Club. And then Hana just happens to be in the neighborhood and pop in and be like, oh, he's here. Oh my God. And it's like, wow.
The magic of cinema, Mike.
I know.
Don't fight it. Just enjoy the magic of cinema.
There's your Disney connection. It's a small world after all.
it is. I thought you were going to say all the magic. All that magic.
That's true. I mean, I once went to Universal not knowing one of my coworkers was going to be at Universal. And we just happened to be leaving as he was coming in, and we saw their family. As like, yeah, small world.
True that. It happens. Maybe not this often in 1 week, but it does happen.
Okay, so we kind of bounced around a few things here. I think this is probably the biggest, probably the most interesting part of the film. It's not the story. I mean, it's not even the baby. I think it's the dynamic between the three characters, between Miyuki, Anna, and Jin. That is really the centerpiece of the film, right? They're not a typical family, right? They've found each other on the street. At least from what we understand is Miyuki was run away for 6 months. So recently found each other. So it's not even, it's like they've been together for 3-4 years. I don't know if they even really established that between Anna and Jin, but it seems like it's kind of a quick, they found each other and bonded. I think that's probably one of the best parts of this film, of their connection. And when I was kind of thinking about it and the way they did it, or the way that the film was put together, I think it allows them, it's like they reached out to each other to kind of make amends with some of their demons. Like you have Jin, who gave up, ran away from his family of alcoholism and gambling, but then he takes in Miyuki, ironically the same first name as his biological daughter, which we find out later in the film. So, and then you have Anna, when they find the newborn, it's that was something that she wanted, from a man to a woman, right? That was something that she wanted. I mean, in the beginning part of the film, on Christmas Eve, I think that she makes the comment of the Blessed Mother was a virgin and still had a child. So could I, right? So there was obviously something in her life that she wanted, and obviously biologically she was not able to do that. So kind of one of those things. And then
I just have to say, I love the payoff with that, because because then she runs into the nun from the soup line, and she's like, she did have a baby. She was serious.
That is a good bit. That was a great little bit.
It did pay off. It did pay off. It's true. But I think like those like characters together, I think like working with each other and kind of exercising their demons a little bit on each other, I thought was the most interesting part. I guess maybe a couple things I like to go through, but like, was there any particular character that you thought to be like the most intriguing? Well, excuse me, like the dynamic, I should say, like Jin caring for Miyuki as like kind of a father figure, Hana finding comfort in Jin as a partner, even though her previous partner had passed away unexpectedly. Just any of those things, like that type of connection. Was there anything particular that really spoke with you or seemed to be the most interesting?
I think for me it was Jin overall, because all three of them are kind of punishing themselves and making themselves homeless in a sense. But Jin's is the most. I mean, with his drinking, it's the most obvious that he's punishing himself. Yet his lies that he uses to cover it up, nobody's really prodding into it. So it's kind of like this weird way of like he's showing that he's punishing himself, but you're not really digging deep enough to find out the truth, even though you're with him all the time. So to me, it was kind of that interesting layering of the, punishment versus how obvious it is. Because with the other two, there's punishment, self-punishment, but it's not quite so obvious to everybody around them.
Yeah. I mean, I think Hana and Jin's characters are the most interesting. Miyuki is kind of here's a little bit. We don't have a whole lot to tell you about her backstory, because basically she's a runaway after stabbing her father after thinking he got rid of her cat. And it's just kind of like whatever, but I feel like the stories for Hana and Jin are more developed. And the thing I like about Jin's story arc is he's a liar. I mean, that's the third main thing or flaw with him is he's a liar, and he lies to us, the audience. And I was taken in, like, I was like, oh man, that sounds terrible. They lost a baby and lost his wife and they're dead and he's on his own. It's like, yeah, I could see why he'd want to just leave society behind. I get it. But he lied to us. And when it's revealed, I was like, oh, you son of a... So like I enjoyed Jin's arc, but like Hana's is just as intriguing. Like you said, Andrew, it's kind of self-inflicted punishment upon themselves, where they have people, they have community that are willing to take them in and love them, but they don't feel like they're worthy of it, is my only guess. And so they try to just turn away and find a way to just get by. So
I'm going to jump in with some Team Miyuki here, because I think she's the unsung hero in a way, and her story arc is subtle. But I'll go in and do this much for her. So she does stab her dad and leave and run away because she's had that fight with him and all that, and she feels it's bad. But anyways, so she, I think, if you notice a lot, she ends up with the baby a lot. And the other two bicker with each other like parents. Mm-hmm. And so then Miyuki has to be like the grunt work parent. So she's having to do some parenting in a way that she maybe has more of an appreciation for her family that she ran away from. And she kind of was like, oh, like I reacted in a way that like I don't understand all that my parents go through, because now I'm going through something similar. And I think it's a subtle kind of slow burn throughout the movie as you see her like kind of realize that. And the other two have much bigger personalities. So she's kind of that, just kind of slow and low. She's slow and low. But
That's true.
I do want to throw that out for her, because we'll shout her out too.
That's a good point.
Okay, so kind of going towards the end of the topics here, but kind of one thing I wanted to talk about, and I think the film does a pretty good job of it, of the LGBTQ themes with the character of Hana. And the reason I say that is because I think in my opinion, a lot of films that are LGBTQ, the ones that are really good, that's like maybe the part of the premise of the film, but it's not the driving. That's the characters are who they are, and they're unique and fantastic in what they are, and the story develops around them as the story should. It's a good story. And I think that's, in this case, that's exactly what it does. The backstory of Hana with her history and everything like that, that just adds to her character, and it just makes her all the more interesting and gives it a lot more. I think you mentioned this earlier, Mike, a lot of like sadness to her story, losing her partner and then losing her livelihood and like getting on the street, obviously of her work in the drag club, but the losing your partner and then losing your job. I mean, it's all so like devastating. It just added a whole other layer, but I thought the film did a pretty good job of covering those types of themes without making them like so over the top, or kind of in a weird way, if you will. I think it just covered it like in the most perfect way. And it's an aspect of US culture versus Japanese culture. And I think we've kind of discussed in the past, I think the Japanese culture is obviously much more tolerant than US culture. But maybe open that up to the group. What did you think of how the film addressed LGBTQ themes with the character of Hana?
I think it's impressive that this was, just talking culturally about the movies. Like, we're talking about this in 2025, but the movie was made in 2003, and like I don't think there was anyone in, I can't think of an example, and I challenge y'all to find me a good one, where someone in drag or someone who was trans not just being like a caricature in American media around that same time. Like, I can't think of a good, like, where like you might be like, okay, so like we've come a long way in the US, or maybe we haven't come that long of a way, but we've come away. I'll say that we've come away since 2003. And so like this might seem more normal for us now in the media landscape, like to treat a character this way.
Mm-hmm.
But like this was 2003, so like that's very impressive in how like Hannah got to be Hannah, and not have to be a caricature, and it wasn't like they were just like, oh yeah, Hannah's trans, and then we just ignore that. It was a part of the story, but like a meaningful part of like who she was. You know, but yeah, I can't think of a movie that had like a U.S. movie. Is that your?
That's my searching tones. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about the U.S. around that time, how are we treating LGBTQ? Will and grace. I mean,
that was the best we had, right?
Well, wasn't on Drew Carey's show, but didn't the Mimi's boyfriend also dress in drag occasionally?
Yeah, so it was treated like a joke.
Yeah,
like a gag. Yeah,
it wasn't treated as like serious characters with real beings behind them. It was just, what kind of gags can we do about it?
Well, you know who was ahead of the time? Edward D. Wood Jr.
I mean, technically, yes, we did watch Glenn or Glenda, and that was from the 50s.
This is true.
Right? The 50s? That wasn't the 40s, was it?
I mean, he had there was some actual heart in that film.
He was trying something. He was definitely trying.
I like how you had to say that. There was some actual heart.
Yeah.
Like you had to really search for it.
Yeah, well, and that's again with Tokyo Godfather. Hana's character is just so humanized, and you grow to care about her, and there are moments where you're like, just let her have the baby.
Yeah.
Until you find out that it was stolen, and then it's like, oh my god.
There was a brief moment at the beginning of the film. I thought that's what was going to happen, and it was going to be a matter of like them, how can they keep the baby instead of trying to find the parents. But obviously, that did not take shape.
Well, and the film kind of, my brain again, like I'm always like trying to think ahead of like, where's the film going? What direction I think I can predict this. And then like at first I was like, oh, Tokyo Godfathers, because they're having this baby that they're caring for. That makes sense. And then they start getting entwined with the mob, and I'm like, oh, Godfather?
Different Godfather.
It's like, is this going to be a mob movie now?
No Al Pacino in this one.
Yeah.
No, I think it handled the LGBTQ theme very well.
Like you said, Eric, especially for a film in 2003.
2003.
You could argue this would be more commonplace in like a U.S. film now than certainly 20 plus years ago here. All right. So kind of one of the last things. So obviously the characters were really interesting. The story, right? Some of the crazy parts, unexpected things that occurred, but I kind of wanted to go around the table. Well, maybe I'll ask two questions. I'll throw a last one in. Well, no, I won't, because we kind of already covered it. Never mind. So the last big question here is like, what was your biggest takeaway from Tokyo Godfathers? I know there was probably lots of things you took away from it, but like the story, is it redemption? Is it forgiveness? Is it family, albeit potentially like family is what you make of it? Is there something else? Like, what was your biggest takeaway? I'll kind of kick it off a little bit. I think for me, I thought the biggest thing was like finding forgiveness or resolving your demons was probably the biggest piece I took away from the film, and different ways that it gets resolved. Like, do you stumble upon a baby, right? And you're a trans person who's wanted a child, right? And this is how you kind of work through some of those feelings. Or you abandon your family due to alcoholism and gambling, and then you stumble upon your family later. And is there some level of forgiveness or resolution there? And then as a teen, you do something terrible to your parents, maybe hopefully not stabbing, but in this case, there was some shanking or stabbing going on. And then you like stumble upon forgiveness. I thought that was kind of one of the biggest takeaways for me is like forgiveness and resolution of your demons can be found in like the weirdest places. Sometimes those are the best ways to resolve those things. That was just me. And there's lots of things you could take away from this film. But let's go around the table.
So, I mean, I would say one of the takeaways is that not only is it good to be able to feel like you can be forgiven by the people you've wronged, but to try to find the strength to forgive yourself of what you've done. And so like in this instance, we don't really know if there will be, a happy day after for Jin or Hana. Because they still have some demons that they need to deal with. But I think overall the takeaway is that, you, despite the things that you do, if your family loves you, they know they can find a way to forgive you. And so therefore you need to also forgive yourself so that you can move on.
I like that. No, I'm gonna go with. I mean, there's so much family in this. My takeaway is like the found families, I mean, they were all looking for their family, their significant others, their parents, their children, and they found each other and they made a family out of that. Like a friendsgiving situation. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that they had their found families that helped them find their real families that they may not actually end up having the best relationships with anyway going forward, but they still got each other. And that's a lot. We make it, or I was trying to go into the Bon Jovi song, but anyways, living on a prayer. It's like they have each other, and that's a lot for love. They'll give it a shot. There we go. I found the one. They're all living on a prayer. That's all. Yeah, Jin used to work on the
all right,
docks.
bring us home, Jagoda. Bring us home.
For me, it was that family, whether you run from your true family or lose your real family will still find you. Because really, I mean, Jin, Hannah, Miyuki, they found each other and made their own family, even when they didn't think they could go to their families. You know, and you find family in the strangest of places sometimes. Whether it's a baby in a dumpster or running into a high school friend at a Best Buy.
Do we score this thing now? So we've got The Lady in White, was our October Halloween pick, which was Jagoda's, and that was 49 points. Krisha, which we all learned was pronounced Krisha, last month, was the Thanksgiving Disaster, which came in at 48 points. And now we have Rob's Tokyo Godfathers for the December Christmas time season. So let's get over to the scoring, and as I do, the non-scientific way that I put these names in here is I just erase whoever's name was there last time and I put in the other person's name. So Mike goes first just because that's how we do it.
Right. Good. I was about to say, because if you're going alphabetically, you need to go back to school.
So then next time, Rob, you're going to be the last one next time because I pick next time, and I'll just put your name over mine. That's how I do it. Awesome. Behind the scenes information here.
All right. So rarity. I've never heard of this film. I'm not familiar with the filmmaker. I believe in Japan it's fairly popular. I feel like he's well known and respected in the community, but as far as an American over here, I gotta give it a 5. Theme happened on Christmas. They named the baby, what was it, Kyoko? Meaning purist, which is what
child, I think.
Yeah, which is what they referred to Christmas time as. And so, can't get more Christmassy than a 5. Production value, I thought it was really well done. And this might sound a little odd, I guess, but some anime, like you watch like a Studio Ghibli film and things are fluid and smooth, and you can tell that they're running on what people in animation would refer to as like ones. Like Disney was known for running animation on ones. So for 24 or 30 frames per second, they were drawing a picture for every single one of those frames. This had times where it just felt more like they had more of a choppy animation style, which is fine because that can totally be a mood in itself. But I felt like the quality could have been a little bit better. So I'm gonna give it a 4. Enjoyment though, I mean, I was not expecting to be watching an anime, so I was very pleased. So I gotta give it a 5.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
You
That's
ain't
a
getting that from me.
zing.
Oh,
Zinga.
Rarity, like Mike said, it's rare as an American viewer. I have no idea if in Tokyo, especially if it's like on, it could be on every night around Christmas for all I know. So I'm just going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say a 5 for Rarity. Um, Theme, they don't talk a lot about Christmas, but it's like they find a baby.
Is that inherently Christmas? People just rampantly
find
finding
the
babies.
baby.
It hits snowing and you
Nope,
find a
nope,
baby.
nope. You stop. There was a baby on Christmas so many thousands of years ago. He was searching for a home. They were homeless.
They were homeless. They had to stay in the manger in the stable. They were in the garbage heap.
Oh goodness.
Those rich people walking by saying, "Look at those manger babies."
Manger baby. That's from King of the Hill, the manger babies. Anyways. Oh goodness. All right. So what are you giving it for theme?
Well, I'm gonna give it the 5 on theme. But this is where we differ because production value, like I said, I'm not a big anime guy. I'm not a fan of the style. So, I mean, I can appreciate that a lot of work went into it, but I'm only going to give it a 3. And enjoyment, I'm gonna be a little kind and say a 2
Ooh.
because if it didn't have the whole Christmassy feel to it, I would probably be like it's a 1, but I'll give it a 2. So.
All right. So I have a contentious new outlook on life after I was run through the ringer last time for my rarity score of 4 on Krisha because of my A24. It was A24 and I dinged it for that. But I then decided, I went back and was visited by some ghosts in the evening, and they determined to tell me that I should just be critical of everything. They turned me into a stingy Ebenezer Scrooge. And then as I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, actually, to get a 5 for me is going to be difficult. I'm going to make that a thing. It's a difficult thing to get a 5. I mean, themes sometimes will hit 5 just automatically. Depending
you're
on the
turning into
situation.
those managers that give their end of year reviews that say 5s are unattainable.
That's what I'm doing.
Oh.
That's exactly it. I will give 5s. Don't get me wrong. I will give 5s on scores, but they will be harder to get because I want to leave that wiggle room for, like, when something you score it high and then something hits you the next time. Also, I can't score the next one. Maybe I'm making enemies. Maybe I know I'm going to lose the next one. That's mine. But anyways, rarity, I'm gonna be stingy and I'm gonna give it a 4 just because it's the filmmakers, like I have to, so like the rarity score of 5 in my back looking opinion should only have been attained by something like the yellow wallpaper. This is less rare than that, right? So it has to get the 4.
What about the Roddy Piper film that Mike picked? How does that follow in rarity?
You
That
gave
one's
me a
pretty
5
close.
on that.
That one is probably still worthy of a 5. Like those two are like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But just because of that doesn't mean it's going to do well in other places. So this one I struggled with.
I'm just gauging where that bar is now placed for Eric.
The
Rob's
bar
gonna
is
start looking for like independent films in like Albuquerque.
right. I'm just trying to make it interesting, people. I'm just trying to
Only
make it
films
interesting.
filmed in Anchorage, Alaska, completely.
Theme wise, I struggle with Because what is the theme? What is the theme? I want you all to make a case for it right now, because I might change my score, because I'm still on the fence.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What is the theme?
Christmas.
Is it Christmas? Is it December? What is the theme?
Well,
Finding a baby.
well,
Sweet
do
baby Jesus.
Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas.
All right, so if it's Christmas, I gotta go with my original score, which is 3, because I was missing the Christmas, man. I know this story didn't have to take place at Christmas. I was like, I want more Christmas. I wanted more Christmas. Especially, this was my unexpectedness. Like, I thought I was gonna get, like, I heard like 3 homeless people get a baby, and Christmas ensues. And it sounded real Christmassy to me. And then I was like, it's not Christmas anymore. It's just like the days after Christmas, which is still the December theme. See what I'm saying? I'm like, so if it is Christmas, then I'm keeping it a 3. Anyways, production value, I really liked it. It was great. I give it a 4, because like I said, it's got to be something that blows my mind to get that 5. And then last but not least, enjoyment. I wanted more Christmas, so we're gonna give it a 4. So that's a 16, if I did my math right.
15.
15?
15.
I didn't do my math right. Oh, right, because 4 times 4 is 16. Haha. Huzzah. We have that there. Okay. So that makes this easy, because that make it a 49. Right?
Makes it a tie.
That does make it a tie. Huzzah. Let me move on. So I'm the only chance to win. And as I already stated, I'm not going to win. Just for the record, 49. I'm not going to win, because to quote Mike Birbiglia, I just don't care anymore. And I'm picking something that is not necessarily rare, but it's
What are you picking, an Easter film for January? What are you picking here?
No, it is not an Easter film, though that would be a zigzag when you least expect it. No, so what I am picking doesn't seem rare, and it doesn't seem like it's January themed. January theming is weird, because we usually record after the 1st. And so if it is the holiday of New Year's, it's after the fact. And there's not too many movies that are about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that will run through, because his day is also in January. So anyways, I went with the New Year's thing, and I picked this sad thing. I picked Tokyo Godfathers. No, I didn't. I picked that.
49.
I picked Dick Tracy from 1990, not 19. I can't type on this. 1900. Oh my God, I'm struggling.
What is this, like Middle Ages film or something here?
The original one, the one from 1900. No, Dick Tracy from 1990. It is a Disney film. It was a major budget film. It was kind of a flop in that it was meant to be a giant blockbuster and did not do what they thought it would be. And it has a very important, like the connection to New Year's, in that a major scene, like the climax of the movie, takes place on New Year's Eve. So that's the reason I'm bringing it. It's not necessarily a New Year's movie. Give me a 3 on it, like I gave Tokyo Godfathers. I'm telling you right now, you can do it. That's fine with me. Write it down now. I am gonna say, I know I'm not gonna get any 5s on this rarity, because it is a Disney movie. But I'll just speak to its rarity a little bit right now, in that you have to go try to find the DVD, because it's not streaming anywhere.
Well, it's a good thing I own it already.
Haha. So get Andrew's DVD, go to your library. It's not streaming. It's not on Disney Plus. And that gets into this whole thing with Warren Beatty, who thinks that he actually is the character of Dick Tracy. Like, I'm not even making that up. I really think he has an identity crisis and believes that he is Dick Tracy. And so I might send you guys some bonus content that would be for your viewing pleasure if you have extra time and want to watch Warren Beatty pretend to be Dick Tracy on Turner Classic Movies to keep the rights to the character, which is why Disney can't stream it. So we'll have to get the DVD. But anyways, Dick Tracy, and then we'll have to figure out what we do with a tie between Rob and Andrew.
Good work.
Flip a coin.
But yeah, so go check out Dick Tracy however you can find it on DVD. I don't think it's ever been on Blu-ray. So watch that thing in standard definition. And join us next time on the Rare Cuts Media Society.